I'm back. It's been a while. I've been away, and when I last came back to do videos, they were a little off topic for an important reason, but off topic. But today, it's about time that I once again talk about Doctor Who, and it's one of those beautiful, unscripted, long-form discussion videos. There's been a lot of negativity recently in the fan base for several reasons. You know, it's been an intense couple of years for the show. Culture wars, love versus hatred. There's been a big old melting pot full of actual fans of the show who enjoy it, fans of the show who haven't enjoyed it in 10 years and maybe aren't fans, and people who really do want to enjoy the show but have had their nitpicks. But now with the news that we're getting Doctor Who renewed, we're getting a spin-off this year, a Christmas special next year, and then from what it looks like, a new era with a new showrunner and Doctor. So let's put all the hatred, the negativity to the side, and let's just take a moment to look back at why we are Doctor Who fans. Especially with this newest era, there were so many mixed opinions, but I want a little bit of hope, a little bit of positivity. So I asked you all on several different media platforms to just talk a little bit about what you actually loved about the newest era of Doctor Who. I'm just gonna read through it. Sometimes I'll add something to the message and I'll respond to it. Sometimes I'll just read it, then move on to the next one. This is gonna be... Do you hear them vehicles outside? I'm not sure on the window, alright, I'm warm. This is going to be a long form video of just straight non-stop Doctor Who positivity, and if you like the show, you want more of a positive attitude around it as we go into the next era, then this is the video for you. I'm recording this on Halloween, by the way. I don't think it'll go up today, maybe it will. But yeah, I've been pretty unwell the last few days, so I've not really got it in me to go out for Halloween like I might usually, so this is what I'm doing, guys, okay? Give it to me. So starting off on YouTube. It's been said before, but the visual direction and editing are both breathtaking in this era. 73 Yards, for example, is insanely well presented, and I think the direction and editing largely contribute to that episode's peakness. I've got to agree, guys. Whenever I look back on 73 Yards, I still can't believe how sick it is. There's mixed opinions like there is for anything ever in all of human history, but goddamn, that is a god episode, and I agree. I love the visual direction and editing for this series. I loved Ncuti's performance. He really captured the emotion of this Doctor well. Also, the costumes were always on point, and we had some really great storylines. Again, one of my favourite things about this era was just Ncuti's performance. He was electric, and I had a great time watching him as the Doctor. I agree, he captured it well. And the costumes were amazing. Ncuti's captivating raw performance and 15's fashion sense. Again, agree. Had some great episodes and great moments. Murray Gold's music was peak as ever, of course it was. I loved Kate Stewart getting a lot better material to work with. And that, my friend, is why I'm really looking forward to the War Between the Land and the Sea, which we're getting in December, it looks like. Firstly, I love Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. Not only is he one of the most charismatic and emotional actors to ever play the Doctor, but he is my favourite Doctor. That's valid. Secondly, say what you will about Disney's involvement, but in terms of visuals, it is one of the best looking eras of Doctor Who. Thirdly, Murray Gold's music is always on top form. Fourth and finally, the cast, may they be the main cast or guest stars, through the era were all fantastic. The 15th Doctor cared so much. I love that he basically poured everything into everything he did. A lot of doctors before him closed themselves off to a degree, but wow, did 15 go 110% at everything. Ncuti did an amazing job in putting those emotions from screen to my heart in a way that felt believable. The entirety of the Tennant specials, and let me just stop to say, let's not forget that part of this era. I love the 60th anniversary personally. Maurice Gold's music returning, the cinema screenings. I went to one of the cinema screenings for the Reality War, and believe it or not, guys, I had a fantastic time. The new TARDIS interior, Mel and Susan returning, Ncuti being very likeable, Unleashed, and Billie Piper coming back. I loved it, okay? I get why people don't like it, I guess. I get that it's sort of fan service, but I'm a fan and it's servicing me, so I was quite happy. Dawn Bubble, 73 Yards, Rogue for the most part, Legend of Ruby Sunday, Empire of Death, Joy to the World, and a majority of Series 15, it was a fun era as a whole, and I've got to agree with you there. Okay, this comment says, I really love the hype around it all. It just felt like a massive event waiting for trailers, seasons and episodes. Guessing if David Tennant was the Meta Crisis Doctor or the 14th. Who is the one who waits? What's with Ruby? Who told the doctor about Belinda? Why is Susan Twist everywhere? And of course, who can forget the massive amount of hype around who is Mrs. Flood? Yes, for most people the finales didn't live up to the hype, but I haven't felt that much excitement for Doctor Who in years. Thank you to everyone involved in the show, and to all the YouTubers like yourself, thank you mate, for making this era such an incredible experience. Yeah, I do think it's worth knowing, and it's a bit of a realization for me, that my channel for the most part is spawned of the start of the RTD2 era. This era has been what I've grown this channel to 7,000 subscribers with, and for that reason there's a lot of nostalgia for me. I get the nitpicks, and again, this video isn't to ignore nitpicks or ignore problems people might have with this era. It's just to say, okay, that's done. That's okay. Let's think about the love. Let's have some positivity as we prepare for the next era, you know? That's really what this video is about. Okay, let's go to the Discord server. If you want to join the Justification Discord server, vacation code, there's a link in the description. I'll see you there. Faye from the Sci-Fi Hater series says, the wardrobing in the 2 seasons was so amazingly styled and had so much life to them. It really helped with making every episode feel like a breath of fresh air. And again, it's unique because if you guys don't know who Faye is, I've got a series on this channel called Sci-Fi Haters Watch Doctor Who, where me and 2 of my friends, including Faye, who have never really watched Doctor Who before, started watching episodes with me for the first time, including a lot of the new Shooty era. And a lot of people had a problem with Shooty's lack of a single main outfit, but these guys obviously are newer to the series and were sort of going in fresh and just loved the wardrobing and how unique each episode was. That was a great time. I recommend that series if you've not watched it. Ncuti Gatwa has the greatest energy of all the Doctors. He's camp yet stern. He's also really sexy, but that's not the point. Nearly all the stories have been absolutely phenomenal. I've loved all the Pantheon stuff. He's also emotional and actually cares about the universe he's in. Genuinely some of my favourite things the show's ever done are in this era. The individual episodes were all really quite strong. I love the more fantasy slant as a huge science fantasy fan. There's some genuinely unique episodes with 73 Yards, Dot and Bubble, and Sori and the Engine, which is incredible for a 60+ year show. I love that the focus was on expanding the show's rogues gallery, with Maestro and Lux especially feeling that they could return in 10 years with newer returning faces. Let me tell you guys, I am without a doubt part of the please bring Maestro back camp. I could mention the incredible cast, but that's always true in Doctor Who. Same goes for the music, there's a lot to love. Ncuti Gatwa is at top form 24/7. He is Doctor Who. The speech in Dawn, Bubble and Boom, his costumes and energy, so much fun. Maurice Gold's soundtrack is just next level. A lot of the tracks are honestly better than his first run in my opinion. The stories. I feel like people got lost in the weeds of Space Babies and Reality War to see how good 90% of his episodes were. 73 Yards, The Well, Rogue, Dawn Bubble, Story in the Engine, I could go on. Even in the lesser good episodes, I feel Ncuti elevated them due to his amazing performance. I just love Gatwa as a Doctor. I have yet to see a modern Doctor actor that doesn't perfectly embody the character. I've got to agree with that. I definitely share the same opinion. Variety of monsters. Don't get me wrong, it's a shame Ncuti didn't fight the Daleks or the Cybermen, but I like the monsters he did fight in his era. From actual monsters to fake gods, even messed up people, I like the variety. This person says, I loved everything actually, so me. I liked every single thing ever. There wasn't anything I didn't love. I love Doctor Who, Ncuti Gatwa, Doctor Who, it was awesome. Now it's time to go to the second scariest place on the internet. First place being Twitter, second place, Reddit. This person says, I think Ncuti's acting is spectacular, and Anita Dobson was amazing as the Rani, as well as Archie Panjabi. I also really liked the story in the engine. It felt really exciting and gave Ncuti an awesome moment. Lux is also the best episode of the season simply because I love how uniquely it resolved. Lux Imperator got what he wanted, but instead of overloading or in fact destroying the universe, he realised how beautiful it was to observe, taking in the sights and becoming one with it. I think that was just so very unique and unusual and added a layer of depth to our main man Lux. I also have this idea that the Doctor knew this would happen, so he enacted a plan such that Lux would win. Also, how could I forget? The best thing in this entire era, Doggadoo. It was about time someone mentioned Doggadoo. Ncuti's charisma is very doctory for me, and I love that. He often felt so joyful about exploration and spending time with his companions. And I think had he been given more episodes per series and in general, we could have really seen that resonate even more. This person says, I think that Gatwa era's hit rate is pretty high, probably about on par with Tennant's. The problem was that there was just so little of it, so the few stinkers loom larger in people's minds. I think that's quite a realistic take. And this person says the great Gatwa stories are Boom, 73 Yards, Dot and Bubble, Rogue, Lux, The Well, The Story and the Engine, and the Interstellar Song Contest. This person says it's literally my second favourite era of the show. I get the criticisms of the finales, but everything else is top tier, honestly. This era is pretty close to what I would do if I was showrunner. Can't wait to see how the era continues, even though I'm not sure what to think of that cliffhanger. Millie Gibson was extremely charismatic and charming. Ruby Sunday's family was black, like me, and it didn't feel forced at all. It didn't feel like they're forcing representation, it's just a wonderful family, and I loved it. That episode with the ghostly woman chasing Ruby was spooky, and everyone running away from her without explanation. What was that about anyway? I actually liked that it leaned into Who's sci-fantasy aspect. The gods, the malleable perception and subjective reality, those are cool concepts. Heck, hearing the roll call of the gods referencing things like the Trickster and the Mara was a giddy moment. This person says most individual episodes were peak AF. Season 1 I thought had an amazing run of episodes with Devil's Cord through Dot and Bubble. And 73 Yards and Dot and Bubble were masterpieces in my opinion. Some definite standouts. For season 2, absolutely adore The Well. That was definitely another banger. I thought a midnight sequel would be impossible, let alone a bad idea, but I was proven very wrong on both fronts. A great Scary Hugh episode, and I thought it elevated Midnight and the Midnight entity. Also loved Story and the Engine. That was an episode that just felt completely right. I won't talk too much about the other episodes, but I didn't think any of them were bad. Shooty himself is of course amazing, he was electric in the role, he was born to be the Doctor. I also liked the penultimates for the most part, especially Legend of Ruby Sunday. They felt like classic RTD part 1s with great cliffhangers. I think it could have been better. Legend of Ruby Sunday should have ended with Sutek killing everyone like he did in the opening of Empire of Death. Wishworld should have been the episode to reveal the Rani, and had a double whammy of the Rani and Omega reveal, but they were still good fun. I also really liked the idea of the Pantheon. I thought it was a great way to fold in all these various new and classic villains into a consistent canon, and I thought it made for an interesting new story arc we haven't yet seen in the show before. It reminds me of 11 and the Silence, and how that new story arc made 11's run very refreshing and new. With a third season, I was hoping for a big finale to the story where the Toymaker's Legion we've met so far, plus some more, all team up to break the Toymaker out, but that would of course end with the Toymaker's defeat and closing out his arc. Also was very interested in seeing Susan again. That would have been absolute peak, so much potential. Oh, that's fair enough. This person says, Boom, 73 Yards, Dot and Bubble and Rogue was one of the strongest 4-story episode runs in the entire history of the show in my honest opinion. Season 2 gave us both Mr. Ring-a-Ding and Dug-a-Doo. The line, "It's not appropriate to call me babes," being followed by 15 saying "Okay hun" in an episode where Rose Eiling Ellis was an amazing guest star. And Anita Ben. This person says, the concepts were very great and the higher budget was welcomed in spite of the shorter seasons. Definitely did well with the costumes and set designs. Oh, and Shooty was very good, but he didn't have enough moments of rage that usually defines each Doctor. While we can both agree, we wish Shooty had longer. Susan, let there be more Susan in the future. We can only hope. Shooty was fantastic. It was also exciting to have both Neil Patrick Harris and Jinx Monsoon, and weird spontaneous dance scenes so unexpected it tickled my funny bone. So they were just a handful of some of the comments I've received on these posts asking for this positivity, and I agree with so much of it. Maybe not everything, not everyone needs to agree with everything, but let's just allow a bit of a positive vibe. Let's just be in a good mood, alright? Let's enjoy what we've had. You don't have to have loved the last era, but let's just appreciate it for what it gave us. Doctor Who, some cool stories and characters and cast, and I can't wait to see what we get to see in the next era. Now, I've always, throughout this entire era, been generally more of a fan of it than a lot of people. This kind of era of Doctor Who, well, here's the thing to say. Every era of Doctor Who is a bit different, right? and people have their favourites and their least favourites. Every era of Doctor Who is someone's favourite and probably someone's least favourite, and that is okay. The reason this show has lasted for 60 plus years is because it keeps changing itself, reinventing itself, trying things. Some things stick, some things don't, and that's okay. For me, the flavour of who we got in this era was my kind of thing. I loved Ncuti, I loved the cast, the individual standalone episodes I adored. I personally, and this is no secret, adored RTD2. I don't know if it is over. There's, whispering going on behind the scenes. Apparently, some people think it might be the end of RTD2 after next year's Christmas special. But you know what? If it is, I think it was sick. I enjoyed it. Hey, I even enjoyed the reality war. Maybe I'm in the minority there, but I had a good time in the cinema watching that with my mate. It was great. And when this era is all over and when Ncuti becomes just one of the past doctors, I will look back on this era and his doctor and these stories with fondness. And I hope Maestro comes back. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let's try, and I know it's hard, let's try and have a positive comment section. Again, it's over. This Doctor's era is over. Let's just, the things we don't like, sure, you're allowed to have your opinions. Let's push that to the side. We've spoken plenty about that. What did you like? What are you hoping for in the next era? Tell you what, give me a comment on what you're hoping for in the next era. Maybe I'll make a video on that. Either way, I loved it. I've had a good time. I love reading these, seeing a bit of positivity in the fan base. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm back. Doctor Who's renewed, the justification's back. Alright, so we're going to have a lovely few months ahead. I've got some cool stuff on the way. Thank you all very much, and I'll speak to you next time. But before I go, thank you to the members. Most of the members have left during my short hiatus of the last month, which is so understandable. I'm sorry, I'm back. There are more things coming. Sci-Fi Haters reunion, anyone? But yeah, the few that are still there, thank you so much. It means a lot. I've been pouring more money than I can afford to into some of these next projects coming up. Stay tuned and it will pay off. I'll see you all soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.